Welcome to Storytime with Story Mode. I'm Karan Pradhan and with me is Anirudh Regidi. And today we're here to discuss Halo Campaign Evolved. I know this was something Anirudh's really been looking forward to for a while. Anirudh, why don't we start with your expertise with the series? Because for keen viewers and keen followers of our YouTube channel, last time you were presented as a noob, but somehow this time you're the expert. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so last time it was Assassin's Creed, which I had never ever played, like any game in the franchise. This time it's Halo, which I have played and I know it. I would say the first game I know it almost inside out, the single player campaign, because I played that one game at least a dozen times. The rest of the game in the series I have also finished several times, but Halo 1 Combat Evolved is, I think, one of my favorite shooters of all time and probably ranks in the top 10 in my top 10 games.
So let's start with, before we jump into your actual experience with the game, let's look at what your expectations were. What were you really hoping for this remaster of a 24-year-old game?
25 years old, almost. 23 on PC, 25 if you count the console.
Right, okay. So what were your key expectations before this?
So the thing is, this game already saw a remaster, which was the Halo Master Chief Collection. So they released Combat Evolved in that as an anniversary edition update, which was essentially the core game just with updated graphics. So none of the code was touched. You could literally instantly swap between new graphics and old graphics without any hassle. This one, when it was announced, Campaign Evolved, Microsoft basically said that this is a ground up remake in Unreal Engine. So they have taken the core game as a template, an outline, and they have ditched their entire legacy code and built it entirely from scratch as a new game. So even like the most recent game, which was Halo Infinite, that was built on Microsoft's custom Slipspace engine, the one they used for Halo. So this is Unreal Engine 5. So I was obviously expecting a graphical upgrade, like that goes without saying, because UV5 is one of the prettiest engines around. And I think every modern game in the last 3-4 years that looks amazing has been made in Unreal Engine. So graphics I was expecting by default anyway. The second thing I was expecting is that this is again an entirely new studio working on Halo. Like I think we've all seen Microsoft's purges of its developers, and Halo I think has been particularly hard hit because I honestly don't think there's even one developer left right now working on the game who has worked on the original.
Right.
Like Bungie left after I think the first 3 games and I think Reach. And I think Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite have not been very well reviewed. So this was just my curiosity to see, like, you know, what this entirely new team is going to do with a game that is so beloved, and you know, it's a genre defining game for good reason.
No, for sure. I mean, my only brushes with Halo have been my extremely inept runs in the first game. I haven't touched it since. But yes, at the time when it came out, it was probably the biggest console seller of the time. People would buy an Xbox because they wanted Halo. It wasn't that they bought Halo because they had an Xbox. They would buy an Xbox because they wanted to play Halo. So, okay. So that's the background there. Let's shoot right into your experience having played this ground up remake. I think it's a good point to start would be what you made of the treatment of these beloved quarter-century old characters.
Yeah, so actually there's a little bit of history which we need to get into here, because in a sense that since the new team took over in Halo, I think 4, 5 and Infinite, and again, like I said, this is again an entirely new team from what I understand. There may be some people left over who worked on Infinite, I don't know, but this is not the original developers. So from what I remember, and this I confirmed with my research when I was writing the article, the entire idea behind Master Chief, who is the main character in Halo, was that he is somebody that the player can relate to. Like the choice of him wearing a mask, never seeing his face, that he doesn't talk too much.
Sure.
That was a design decision that was taken. And for some reason, I think with Halo Infinite and the games before it, and even with Campaign Evolved, they've been trying to humanize him a little more. Like, make him seem less like a soldier and more like, a human who has emotions and all of that. And that's never sat right with me, even in the previous games. And I think for me, this was particularly bad when I was playing Campaign Evolved, like the experience, because this is a game that I have played so many times over the years and that I know so well. So I think the nuances that may be visible to me or gamers like me who have played this game so much will not be visible to new players. So I think in that sense, new players will not, I don't think they'll really have much of an issue with Campaign Evolved. But for people like me who come from the original, there's a lot of little changes that you will notice in, I think, almost every single one of the key characters.
Okay, so there is the character part, but then again, to my knowledge or to as my memory goes, I don't think it was so much the story or character development as the action that really made Halo, right? If you think about it, the story was there, it was engaging enough, but that's the key point, engaging enough. If the real money was made, let's put it as crassly as that, on the strength of the combat and the gameplay. So how has that aged, or rather how has this new version of it made you think differently about the old version, or just new emotions, new feelings?
So the original game's shortcomings, I think, were really down to mostly the level design and certain levels, like the assault on the control room and the library missions, which were very repetitive. Like you were just literally, you ascend an elevator. There's a circular room, donut-shaped room with enemies, and a long corridor there, or a bridge that you cross. Like that repeated like several times. The library also, that was the same thing. Like you basically ascended or descended in an elevator, and you had long corridors. Other than that, I think the moment-to-moment gameplay was fantastic. Like,
Right.
I think it was just the way the game felt, and this is, we are talking about 2001 and 2003. 2001 for the console release, 2003 for the PC release, which is like, you're talking about games that released just after Half-Life. So you're talking about AI that is communicative, grunts that run away scared when you shoot an elite. Elites are kind of like the group leaders, I would say, of the combat encounters, and the grunts are the smaller soldiers around them. So you shoot down the elite, the commander, and the grunts would run away from that. And it was like really funny dialogue. And the thing with the elites was they were fun to fight because they behaved like intelligent creatures. They would jump instantly when you threw grenades. They would rush you if you destroyed their shields. They would like release a war cry if you destroyed the shield and are about to die. So stuff like that. Just little detail. So all of the combat was that way tactical. Like you had limited health. Like this wasn't recharging health. You had a recharging shield, but you had limited health. So you needed health packs. So you had to like plan your encounters around these limitations. So it was very tactical. You would skulk around. You would maybe decide, okay, I can throw grenades from here. Or that was the entire game. And I think that stuck around start to finish till it switched when the Flood released, which is about halfway through the game. I would say. Halo Campaign Evolved, the new game. In this one, somehow it feels like they've downgraded the AI, where the elites are not so smart. They just kind of clump up together. So already it's gone from tactical to more managing clumps of enemies. And I think they, for some reason, I don't know if this is just me, but it feels that the map, which they have completely like redesigned and streamlined, but based on the original, they seem a little more claustrophobic. So it's like you're fighting the Covenant as a horde and you're fighting the Flood as a horde, which somehow didn't feel right to me. Again, this could just be me because I'm so familiar with the original game that I'm not liking this new style, but that's what I felt. And then two changes, I think, also exacerbated this issue. One is that your health is rechargeable. So,
Right.
And then the second is that you can sprint, which you couldn't do in the first game.
So when you say health is rechargeable, do you mean the the modern practice of not necessarily requiring a health. Actually, modern is a stretch. It's been around for a couple of decades at least, where you don't necessarily need that health pack or a stim. You just run away and stay out of trouble for a bit, and your health starts going back up again. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And in this, it's 2 stages because you have health plus a shield.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So so because you can sprint and because your health recharges, you could just run past a lot of the enemies. And in fact, I found because I wasn't so keen on the combat, like whereas in the first game I would really seek out combat, in this one I would just sprint past because there's no need to fight the enemies. Why waste grenades? Why waste bullets? And this was especially bad with the flood because the challenge with the flood was you have a limited speed. The flood has a certain maximum speed. So you are circle strafing them, clumping them up, and then destroying them. In campaign evolved, you just run past. Like it doesn't matter. You can jump, you can run, and you can just blitz past everything.
Right. So putting all of these things together, let's go back to one of the things you discussed at the start. This, of course, Combat Evolved was something that you played. What was it? You said 2003 on PC, right?
Yeah.
To what extent do you think Campaign Evolved is made for people like you who have grown up with the original? And to what extent do you think it's made for the new legion of gamers who are used to recharging health, who expect a sprint button to be there, who want their protagonists to be relatable, to be, human? Do you think it's made for this new crowd rather than being like a nostalgia trip for the old crowd?
So honestly, I think Halo Campaign Evolved is made for people like me because Halo as a franchise has mostly been dead. I don't think any of the games have been well received for at least 10 years now, maybe longer.
Right.
It was Halo 1, 2, 3 and Reach that were 1, 2, 3 that were the main games, and then Reach, ODST, there were like sparks of brilliance here and there. 4 was disappointing, 5 was disappointing, Infinite was disappointing. So people don't really know Halo exists. Like if I talk to any kid today, Halo is, I don't think they'll even talk about it. So I think it's for people
come up in the conversation.
Like even you are aware of it, even though you didn't spend so much time playing this game, because you were around when Halo was launched and you know that it was a big phenomenon. Like I remember that was the first time seeing the news media, like Indian news media, talk about Halo as taking over, like gaming industry going past the movie industry because of Halo. I think it was 2 or 3. I don't remember which came at that time. So we've lived through that. We remember this. So I think this is meant for people like us, and they're hoping that there's enough interesting stuff that new players will also, join in.
So do you think, I think the bottom line is, do you think this will serve as nostalgia exercise for people like you, or do you think this will actually bring people in to see what Halo 2 and 3 were about and maybe give the franchise a little shot in the arm?
So the thing is, I was so disappointed in Campaign Evolved that I fired up the Master Chief Collection again and I started playing the first 3 games again. And I think that way, like steering the conversation back to the originals and to remind people why Halo was great, that way this game has helped. Whereas for bringing new players, I don't think this works because it's fine. It is a decent game. It's actually not bad if you haven't experienced the original. And I think the original itself stood up so well on its own that even using the original as guardrails for what they did new and what they were experimenting with, this game was all right. And I think the original's writing and level design and characters helped carry it to whatever extent it could, like survive Campaign Evolved. Like whatever money it made because of that legacy.
So now Campaign Evolved, as the name suggests, isn't just a remake of the existing ones, right? Because we were given to understand that there are a few extra missions also thrown in. I think that was a big part of the promotional material, that this is brand new missions, and I think they set context for what goes on in the game.
Yeah, so I think Microsoft advertised the new missions as prequel missions. So they take place before the events of Halo Combat Evolved. So I think if my timeline is correct, these are supposed to have happened about 1 year before. And
Okay.
the way I looked at it, and I am assuming this is what the plan was, that this is what this new developer, Halo Studios, can do, without the first game's legacy holding them back or carrying them, depending on how you're looking at it. And
Right.
honestly, these were, I think, the most disappointing missions for me in the entire Halo franchise. So, first of all, there is no context in terms of, like, I don't think the writers for this mission really understood what was going on in the original trilogy. Because this whole mission is about accessing data for a certain event that occurs in the second game. And in the second game, there is no, like, so basically you and Sergeant Johnson, who is suddenly a hero character, and who has like this growing bromance with the chief, which did not exist in the first game. Like, he became a big character in the second game, but not in the first game. So obviously 1 year before these events, they could not have known each other that well. So that aside, the whole objective of this mission is to gather navigational data for a certain ship that they are tracking. So I'm just not naming the ship for spoiler reasons in case you're curious about it. But that ship plays a big role in Halo 2. So Sergeant Johnson for sure knows what is happening. Master Chief doesn't. And Halo 2, Sergeant Johnson never once mentions it. And like, you discover that ship by accident. So it's like there's no relation between this first game and the second game. And these prequel mission and the second game entirely. So like that relationship is not even there. Then the relation between the characters doesn't make any sense. Again, because Johnson and Chief don't really have a relation in the first game. And then the way they structure the story, they call it 3 missions, but it is effectively 1 mission. Like, I didn't even realize that I've transitioned to the next stage. Like, the third mission is a space battle, but even that, like, okay, it's a space battle. It looks different, so it's a third mission, but it's a seamless transition. Like, you just go from one area to the next area to the next, and that way. And even the map design, it's very derivative, like a mishmash of Halo 1, 2, and 3 levels. Like, you are rescuing soldiers again in like they are prisoners, so you're going and rescuing them, which is exactly the same as it was in Halo 1. Then some of the corridor sequences are from Halo 2. So it's very derivative. The writing is really bad. The jokes fall flat. The map design is not great.
So if you guys want to read Anirudh's unfiltered and detailed views, the link to his review is at the bottom. And is there anything else you want to say about it? Whether people should temper expectations, throw them away altogether, or just generally be excited for what's good about the game?
I think definitely for players who have played the original, it is still worth playing through Halo campaign mode. I don't think it's worth buying for 5,000 rupees. If you have it on Game Pass, just subscribe for a month, play it, because the opening sequence and how the flood have been reimagined as a real infestation. Like, I think that's one thing they couldn't do in the first game. And then especially the final mission, which is it's called the Mall, like where the Pillar of Autumn, your ship has crashed. That entire mission looks amazing. And the Warthog run, which is the very, very last mission, where you're on a Warthog, the vehicle, and you're driving to like your extraction, the ship. It's amazing. Like, it is easily one of the best sequences in the entire franchise. So I think just for that, just to experience the good moments reimagined more cinematically with more, artistry, like just the cinematic bits.
Sure.
I think it's worth it. But not for 5,000 rupees. Definitely not for 5,000 rupees.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Anirudh. And thank you all for tuning in. And we'll see you at the next story time with Story Mode.